Hello, everyone. I'm Bob McMasters, and welcome to the Tuesday Night Live Show. I'm your host, and tonight we have another great show and featured guest coming your way. We hope you've had a great start to your week, so sit back and enjoy the show that we have on board for tonight. This is Tuesday Night Live. Thank you, everyone, for joining us for our weekly live stream, and we are so glad to have you along. Please welcome our co host for tonight. That's right, Scott is in the house. Scott
Oh,
Saraton.
hello. I'm back again. I've kept Spangle run off. I got a hat and came to the show. Can't wait to see everybody. We've got an absolutely fantastic show coming up. Bob, tell us about what else is going on.
Well, real quick, we told yesterday on the Monday show, talked about Spangles back at home, and he'd be back on the show tonight. But he decided to take his time coming to Garland for the school this weekend. So he went ahead and left about 5:30 this afternoon. Hit the road. So he called Scott up at the last minute. Scott was so gracious to come in and fill in as always. So speaking of house, we have our Tuesday Night Live producer over here to my right. So please welcome Angela Mack. Maybe drop her a warm hello in the comment box. It would be wonderful. All right, Scott, our season three, first three shows have been crazy good. I mean, you know, more than you would ever expect. And, episode four, we have a returning featured guest. We will be talking Santa insurance, magic, and anything that comes to mind. First, though, I want to thank everyone who subscribed to the Tuesday Night Live YouTube channel, helping us achieve getting our private URL address. You guys rock. The Tuesday Night Live Show can be found on Facebook at the Tuesday Night Live Show and now at YouTube, youtube.com/ at the symbol that is the Tuesday Night Live Show 1225. Fantastic. We want to thank everyone for helping us get that. That's right. You can now watch us on your big screen TV while you're there. Just drop us a like, a comment, a share, even a subscribe if you haven't done that already. We do appreciate you. First half of the Tuesday Night Live Show trivia is brought to you by schoolofsantas.com, hosted in Branson, Missouri, where education and fun meet. And before we jump into the trivia real fast, Scott, we've had a couple of questions about where did you get the hat?
Oh, I'm glad you asked. Stuff for Santa. Check out Spangle's site. There's hats there for sale. And this is actually one of Spangle's he's got in. And it's actually really heavy and good quality. It's got the ribbon. It's lined. It's really a great hat. I don't remember what the price is, but it's on. I'm sure it's on his website. If not, reach out to Spangle himself and he'll do it. But it's super comfortable, and he's only got one size, but you can put some paper or some foam in there if it's too big for your head. But I think Bob and I have big heads, so mine fit fine. How about yours, Bob?
And not quite. I'm going to wear like a sweatband or even, a bandana or something under mine if I need to. It's a little loose, but that's okay.
But it's a great look, and it kind of, I thought it would jazz up tonight's show a little bit because of our special guest. But before we get into that, do you mind if I read the first trivia question?
Go right ahead, my
It's
friend.
brought to you by, folks, by School of Santas. And how many designer and name brand stores does Tanger Mall Outlets in Branson have? What is the physical address of the mall? How many designer and name brand stores does Tanger Outlets in Branson have? And what is the physical address of the mall? While you got your fingers going, just remind you, if you've got some spare time, you might give Bob a call, and he's having a class this weekend actually in Garland, Texas. So if you're not doing anything, you might drop in. He's got some great presenters. From what I understand, you've got some new folks coming in to present as well. Am I
Well,
correct, Bob?
well, we have the Hall of Fame, 2018 Hall of Fame, Santa Rex Ray coming in. He's going to be doing several presentations, and I have Santa Doug Wright, who is a local Santa here in Dallas that all of us over here in this region know pretty well. Him and his wife is going to be doing a 1.5 hour home visit, how to make home visits magical or magical home visits for us this year. He done it last year. It was over the top. Absolutely loved that presentation he did. Shows you all kinds of different ways to make it entertaining. And I invited him back this year and he accepted. So gonna be a great class. Even if you don't come to the class, you can drop in, say hi, and or go to dinner with us on Saturday night. We'll all be going out to dinner. And of course, Spangle's 40-foot stuff for
And he'll have some hats.
Santa.com trailer will be there on site all weekend long, and stop by and shop with Spangle.
And he should have hats in stock there as well. So I think he
Yeah, I
carries
believe
some
he
of those on the trailer.
probably does. Well, I know he does.
Well,
All right, let's move along.
The first half of tonight's Tuesday night live show is brought to you by SchoolofSantas.com. Kick off your 2023 season with inspiration from the School of Santas, an annual premier educational opportunity where fun and education meet, and is held each year the third weekend in July in scenic Branson, Missouri. School of Santas prides itself in bringing in a variety of new instructors and presenters each year, which makes this school unique in the Christmas community. Offering quality education, training, and fun for only $359. Included in your tuition is 4 days of classes, Thursday through Sunday, and 4 fun nights of entertainment. 2 of these are in-house, along with 2 Branson theater shows, where the class can enjoy time out on the town. We kick off both nights with a parade, our annual School of Santa's tribute to Daisy May. All meals provided during class served in-house include a total of 4 dinners and 3 lunches. And breakfast is also included if staying at the host hotel. To close out the weekend, we have the Sunday graduation reception with Elvis entertaining on stage. We also have our expanded StuffForSanta.com mobile store in-house all weekend along with other select premier vendors. Remember, School of Santa's Branson, Missouri is where fun and education meet. For more information, or to reserve your $359 educational, fun vacation in Branson, contact Tanya Lay at 1-800-432-4202 or email Tanya at bransonticket.com. Hotel rooms are not included in the price. Reservations for your room at the American by Wyndham Branson and Conference Center can be made at the time of registration. Remember to contact Tanya at 1-800-432-4202 before it's too late. Now, back to tonight's show.
Before you get started, Scott, I'm over here laughing so hard I'm about to bust a gut. If you looked at any of the comments, you guys are knocking it out of the ballpark on the comments tonight. Deanna, I'm laughing so hard I can't stop. Santa Tom, that's a great one right there too. Fantastic, guys. And I don't know if anyone saw it or not, but Erica Moesha says, see you this weekend. Absolutely love that. Love it.
absolutely. Well, hey, without further ado, I'd like to talk a little bit about tonight's featured guest. He's joining us from his home in Lawrenceville, Georgia. We had him last season on the show, and we learned some pretty cool stuff and stories about his magic products he sells for Santas. You know, he, like many, followed his fathers into the insurance business. And he will be doing his annual presentation at the School of Santas in 2023 in Branson. And, well, I'm not sure. Will he be there both weeks? Do you know, Bob?
We'll have to ask him when he comes in here in a moment.
Okay, great. Well, without further ado, we are super excited to bring back to Tuesday Night Live our friend and the magical Santa, Larry Talbert. Wow, look at the beard. Oh,
Wow.
and by the way, I told you I'd see you soon.
Yes, you did.
Good to see you, my friend.
So good to see you guys.
Quick backstory.
Old sometimes.
Larry didn't know that Scott was filling in for Spangler tonight. Scott called Larry just before the show, and that's where that reference come from. All right, Larry, man, welcome back. It's so good to have you back. Let's begin by talking about how your 2022 Christmas season went for you. Did you have any special, memorable visits or gigs that stand out? I know for me, there's always something I learn and take away from each season, and a few that always kind of stands out from the crowd. So fill us in on that if you can.
Well, I just have a wonderful time going to all the events. Most of the events I do now, I like doing the home events. I just don't do that many of them anymore. Most of my stuff now is corporate work or I do a little bit of photography work, but most of the stuff has been more with corporate. And what's I think some of my more memorable ones are when I would go to nursing homes, or I would go to um, Alzheimer's facilities. Those tend to be the most endearing, mainly because my mother passed from dementia and Alzheimer's, and she didn't recognize us at all. However, when I would come to see her as Santa Claus, she would all of a sudden recognize me, which was really not me as an individual, but she recognized Santa Claus. So that was the first person that she would recognize, and that's what's happening with a lot of these assisted living and any of the events that I go to that happen to have them. Now, the one that I think that probably was the most memorable for me was I went to a event for some facility that I basically offered or took care of children that were having mental issues. It could be suicidal, could be drug abuse, could be all kinds of different things. But it was every age. It wasn't just children. It was from children on up to adult. And I would say that probably was one of the I went there basically for the employees, but then at the end they asked if I would come and see all the rest of the people there at the facility, and so I went through the entire facility and greeted probably 75 to 100 patients that were all inpatient, everywhere from about anywhere from 6 to about 85 years old, and they were all they'd all had issues, either any of those things I mentioned before. But when they saw me, all of a sudden everybody was happy. It was great, and they were just so excited the fact that I was happy to come and visit with all of them at the same time as I was seeing the employees. So anyway, that would be probably my most memorable one this last year. Hopefully that helps you guys out.
Yeah. And they just do your heart good, though, to see those smiles. And, that you're able to put those smiles there.
Well, Larry, you kind of already semi-answered this question, but out of all those gigs, which would you say is your very favorite, you enjoy the most as Santa, being home visits or corporate or nursing home, or what some of the things you just mentioned? What would you say would be the very, very top of your list?
Well, I will tell you that the nursing facilities are the most difficult, but at the same time, they're one of the most rewarding. I did really enjoy going to see the children in the hospital. It was very odd. I was because they had security with me the entire time. They were monitoring everybody at the same time, which I don't think anybody. I mean, they were dangerous themselves. They weren't dangerous to me, but it was really very rewarding was the fact that they would come up to me And some of them even thought, because they were some of the children were actually a little bit on the delusional side, but they thought I was a figment of their imagination. They thought that I wasn't real. And then when they touched me, they just reached out and poked me in the chest and realized that, wait a second, this guy really is real. And all of a sudden it was just a totally heartwarming situation. So that would be probably one of my favorite ones this year.
Right. It sounds like that it really, really touched your heart as well.
It did.
And not just emotionally, but physically with the Pope.
Yes. I'm glad they weren't aggressive.
Well, that's good. But yeah. Bob, let's throw it back to you.
Hey, since we're fixing to talk about insurance, I want to catch a comment here. Ben Bellhorn says, Larry is my insurance guy. Hi, Larry Talbert. So say hi to Ben.
Hi, man. So good.
Uh,
Don't see you, but it's great to hear from you.
All right, Larry, there was a lot of chatter, and I do mean a lot of chatter after your segment on insurance on our Tuesday Night Live show last season. And
Great.
because of that, you have written hundreds of new policies between Branson and some of the other engagements that you do each year and the Tuesday Night Live. The word was getting out. Folks were starting to realize, hey, maybe he's got something everybody else doesn't. So would you go back over the differences and the what's and whatnots of your insurance versus some of the others that are available for entertainers?
Sure. A lot of what's very similar to on all the policies is they offer basic general liability. They give you $1 million per occurrence, typically with for any injury or anything that happens when you're at a facility or a site with a $2 million aggregate. Some of them, some of your events occasionally require a 2 million, 4 million. We don't offer that with this program. That's more of if you were a mall Santa, for example. Some of those people require that, and if you tell me who you're working with, I can tell you whether or not our policy will qualify. Outside of that, that's about the only thing that's really similar between the policies. Ours goes through, also offers medical payments, which basically is goodwill coverage in the event that someone gets injured at an event, and it's really no fault of yours. They tripped over your stuff. They were goofing off. What general liability does is that covers them if they covers you if they sue you. What medical payments does is that covers incidental medical expenses without service of suit. So it basically becomes goodwill. It gets taken care of by the insurance carrier without having to go through litigation, which is really a big plus. We offer that as part of our policy. The other things that are kind of unique about what we offer that nobody else offers is the fact that we offer coverage for your suits, your chairs, your thrones, your sleighs, all the paraphernalia you take with you. And as you know, you go to these events and you became Santa and you bought a suit, and all of a sudden you realize you had to have another one, and then you fell in love with it and you bought 3 or 4 or 5 suits and all this other stuff, and you don't realize that's not covered under your homeowner's policy. You think, well, if I have a fire or I have a pipe burst or something like that, it would be covered, and it's not. It's specifically excluded because it's considered, since you are in the business of being Santa, it's considered business personal property, which is excluded. So now you've had all this damage to all your equipment and all your stuff, and now you've got to replace it all. Well, our policy will replace it. You just tell us how much value you have, and we go through and we insure it for that value. Our program, we can cover up to $100,000. So we can even cover your stuff, Bob, with that kind of limit. Okay. But we automatically provide you with $5,000, which covers most of every small new Santa that comes into play, and can cover a lot of them that have been around for a long, long time. The next thing that comes into coverage is professional services liability, which is professional liability, and that's everybody makes mistakes, and let's say you double booked, and I'm sure somebody here has probably double booked an event. And they call up the second person, just like every good Santa would do, and say, I'm sorry, I booked 2 events at the same time. I cannot be there tomorrow. And they say, well, that's fine. We understand. Can you replace you? And you can't. If you could, we would pay the extra expense with something like that, typically under that, depending on the terms of it. But if they can't, they say, well, we spent $5,000 promoting you, Bob, and we want that money back. Well, that's not covered under general liability. That's covered under professional liability. And in most states, not in every, but in most states, we provide you with $25,000 of coverage for oops, things that you just made a mistake. Or if you showed up as the Easter Bunny by some slim chance, Scott, and you got this great hat, but you put some rabbit ears on and show up, and now all of a sudden you're the Easter Bunny instead of Santa, and they are not happy, and they decide to come after you for professional services not rendered. The next part of the policy, which is kind of unique, it was not kind of unique, it's very unique, is the fact that now you've had all this damage to your suits and your shoot boots and things that you can't show up to this event. You've lost income because you charge a fee for this. Well, we will reimburse you up to a specified limit, which is on the policy, most of the time around $1,500 to $1,700. We'll reimburse you for loss of income for that event because of the fact that your suits were damaged, you couldn't go. Or if you can call Spangles and say, hey, Spangle, can I rent a suit from you, or whoever it happens to be? Can I rent a suit from you, or can you expedite a suit to me? And there's extra expense in that, so you can go ahead and do the event. Then we will cover that extra expense as well in the policy. So there's lots of things that are all just liability things that you don't think about, but until it becomes a real problem, and we cover all those things. I don't know how many of you do like me. During the rest of the year, if somebody called me up and said, Larry, would you be a pirate? I'd say, sure, I'll be a pirate. I would be the Easter Bunny if somebody called me up and told me that they were going to pay me X number of dollars to be the Easter Bunny, or I might be a gladiator or a pirate. Whatever it is that somebody asked me to do, those are interesting things to me. I thought, that's kind of fun to do. Well, I don't have to call my insurance policy and add each of these characters I decide to play. Or if I wanted to be a magician, or I want to be a DJ, or I want to be any type of performer of any sort, storyteller, any of those things, I don't want to have to call my insurance agent and tell them I'm going to do it. All the policies that are out there under the group programs, you have to call them. You have to add $50 to $80 for each additional character that you play. And on ours, you don't have to do that, which is nice. The other thing is that a lot of us have Mrs. Clauses, and we have elves, and we have photographers, and we have people that go and help us to make sure that things are running smoothly as far as our operation goes. If you don't have a Mrs. Claus, I will tell you one of the most valuable assets you'll have if you ever get one is a Mrs. Claus. She can control the kids way better than we can. We're up there, and we are what I consider an attractive nuisance. we're what everybody wants to see, and everybody wants to tell us everything they need to tell us at the same time. Well, Mrs. Claus or some elves can help you solve that problem. Well, with most policies, if you go through the group programs, you have to add that person on. Or they buy their own policy. We will cover you and up to 3 people going with you to your events at no extra cost. Our policy premiums run anywhere from about $250, depending on the state that you're at, $225 to $250, all the way up to about $350 for most Santas. But you get all that coverage all in the same pricing structure. And depending on how much stuff you have and everything else, if you need additional insured endorsements, like if you're doing a lot of schools, if you're doing mostly homes, and you're probably looking at between $250 and $300, depending on how much stuff you have. And then on top of everything else, as Santa, you have to go get a background check. And we provide you with a background check for free. You get one free per year. If you've got a Mrs. Claus gets hers free too. We're not leaving her out. So all you do is you call them up, tell them you're Santa or you're Mrs. Claus, and we have worked it out with our company that is actually an outside company that provides these for us. But they said, we are not charging Santa. We want to stay on the good list. We don't want a lump of coal. That was actually the verbatim exactly what he told me. So normally they charge $10 for these. First one's free, and then additional ones are $10. But they are going to provide Santa and Mrs. Claus with their background checks for free, all in the same price. And those now I think run about $25 typically. So it's a lot of stuff you get all in one neat little package.
Public service announcement. You do not want to leave Mrs. Claus out because you will find yourself sleeping in the little elf house.
Yes. Or
Yeah.
beside reindeer. And I will tell you, the reindeer, sleeping beside the reindeer is not the most pleasant thing to do.
Absolutely. Let's see. There was a question there.
I think Ben covered it though.
Yeah, right. And Ben, I guess, went ahead and covered it in the comments, but he was wanting to know, is that monthly or yearly? Right, that should be yearly.
Yes.
Yeah. I want to throw something else in there, and I actually already know the answer, but for our viewers, Larry, there are other agencies, IBRBS, and different other people that offer the insurance out there, the different associations. And when you're working for one of the sports shops and sitting in a chair, they require a molestation rider. Would you explain to our audience that how that does not really work?
Yeah, I bought into that when I first became Santa back several years ago, because they told me, well, you need abuse and molestation coverage. And I thought, wow, that's really unique. Because as an insurance agent, I've been doing this for 40 years and I teach classes on it. Abuse and molestation coverage is designed for daycares. It's designed for schools. It's designed for anybody who deals with children. It's designed for pastors of churches. And it doesn't cover what you have to realize is when you're buying a policy like that, they go through and they exclude specifically all the policies, all the general liability policies specifically exclude abuse and molestation on them. But then what happened was under the association programs, they added it back in. So I thought, the best thing for me to do as an insurance agent, which is what I spend my life reading policies and trying to make sure that what I'm selling is actually worth its salt. And I thought, I ought to see this policy. I've been doing this. I bought the policy for 2 years. So I probably should take a look at it. And it's 144 pages long, which was a little lengthy for a policy. But they finally sent it to me. And when I read it, it said, well, we specifically exclude abuse and molestation, but then we add it back in, not for the Santa, but for employees of the Santa. The reason behind that, you can't cover a criminal act. And if you are the one that's the committer of that, it's specifically excluded. The employee of the Santa, who happens to be somebody that he's hired to come and assist him, if he's provided that, he has no coverage under the policy, but the Santa would have coverage defending himself from acts of someone else. So the problem is I work by myself and I occasionally take my wife with me. I don't have help I hire. I don't have any employees. And I would venture to say 98% of the Santas out there do not hire other people or have employees. So the problem with that is that it specifically is excluded for me. And I had a real issue with that. So that's why we came out with our policy. Our policy specifically excludes it. I tell everybody up front, we don't cover it. We cover a lot of other stuff that nobody else does cover. But there's not, even if you buy a policy through the IBERBs or through the groups or association programs, they don't cover it the way that they're implying that they're covering it. And that's just ask them for a copy of the policy and you can read it yourself. And if anybody out there wants to see it, I actually have a copy of the policy and I've highlighted the pages that has the exact verbiage, and it's very simple to understand. We had our attorneys review it to make sure I was right because I don't want to don't never want to get into trouble doing this stuff. But and they read it exactly the same way I did, and I can send you a copy of that if anybody's interested. I would be happy to do that. But if you have to have that coverage on your policy to work for a mall, for example, then you might as well just buy the program. No, but be aware that you're getting something that is only on a piece of paper, that is only as good as that piece of paper, and to be honest, it's worth every penny of that piece of paper, not the coverage that you think you're getting.
Well,
Very good.
I had known the answer, and I just wanted our viewers to get that straightened out, Larry. And I appreciate it. And maybe you could even bring that policy to School of Santas if anybody's off the shows that happens to be attending, and they can take a look at maybe yours there if possible.
Yeah, I'll actually bring a copy of the policy. But everybody who buys a policy through us, actually, the policy is not in an association's name with you just as a certificate holder. You don't get just a certificate. Everybody that joins one of the associations and buys their insurance, they just get a certificate that shows you a outline of coverage, an indication, what it's called. It says it right on the form. This is an indication of the coverage that we're providing. We actually give you a policy. As soon as you buy the policy, you get a copy of it. If you don't like it, we can cancel it. But I can tell you that I've not had that much of an issue with anybody canceling. In fact, I've never had one that once they bought the policy said, "Hey, I don't want that program." And then it's simple to issue, simple to renew. You can do it right online with them. I have a lot of Santas that just call me, and I love talking to Santas. They're the best people of all the people that I talk to in the insurance business. I like Santas the best, not just because I am one. Okay.
Very good. We got one comment over here. Santa Ho Ho, which is his Facebook handle. No, just getting set up correctly. What should I do? Call you. Of course, I think Eric Moesha answered it. Yes, call Larry. So before we get away tonight, at the end of the show, towards the end of the show, let's put up either your number or a link to your website. That way we can send folks to you.
Sure, no problem. Oh, just an accolade I'd like to just put out there for my office, which these guys are awesome. I have a fantastic team of people who work with me. And we just received our 13th Best in Gwinnett, which is the third largest county in the United States, Best in Gwinnett for insurance, home, auto, business, and life insurance. So we've actually been helping a lot of the Santas. We've written so many policies in Branson, which is really funny to me because I have a lot of, I would have never thought home and auto would be something that we would be talking to the Santas about. But once we've got their business insurance, they ask us about the home and auto, and the programs we offer are just outstanding. We've got over 40 carriers that we represent. So we can really help if you ever run into that. You can talk when you see some of the people in Branson, if you happen to come, which I would love it if all of you came. You really should, to School of Santas. One of the 2 weeks, I'll be there both weeks. But you'll actually see a lot of the customers that we've actually written home and auto for now. And they seem really happy with us. So anyway, I appreciate it. That's much of an ad as I'm gonna put out there.
It's your spiel for the night.
That's my spiel.
Angela, can you put up Deanna's comment up there about there you go. There's one for you, Larry. Can you read that?
Oh my gosh, I'm on my phone.
Okay, so Deanna Golden wants to know, will your policies have a no fee cost for additional insured at some point?
Probably not. What they do is there's two different methods you can do additional insureds. If you happen to have additional insureds and you only need one or two during the course of a year, if you're doing a couple of schools or libraries or something, or municipalities, sometimes they'll ask for that. Not every time, but sometimes they will. And they typically run $25 for an additional insured. If you're going to do a lot of them, like if you do a lot of municipality work, you do a lot of churches, you do a lot of schools, people who ask you for that a lot, you can add what's called a broad form additional insured endorsement. A broad form additional insured endorsement says anybody who asks you for additional insured on their contract or their agreement, it's automatically included. Costs $100. You pay one time in the policy period, and you don't have to add any additional. I would venture to say probably of all the Santas, 20% on the high side, maybe not even that. Actually, opt for the broad form additional insured, mainly because of the type of work they're doing.
Okay.
Very good.
Larry, is it if they sell it but it does not cover it, is that not fraud? Talking about the
Well, actually, it specifically states that they do add abuse and molestation on it. It just doesn't cover it the way you think it does. So there is abuse and molestation coverage on there, only covering you in the event that someone else commits the act and you get brought into the suit. So it's really just covering you in the event that you have an elf or I can't imagine a Mrs. Claus, but a Mrs. Claus that commits abuse and molestation, then you would be covered. They would not. They go to jail. They go through the court system, whatever it happens to be. But it's not considered. The thing is that they're buying a master policy. And that's how it states it on there. But in order for you to actually know if you've got coverage, you really need to read the policy. That's what I do. I've done it, and I can send you copies of it. So,
okay. Thanks, Larry. The thing is, folks, if you've got more questions specific about insurance, please reach out to Larry direct, and he can answer some of those questions. And we'll get to move on a little bit with the show. And Larry's happy to give you whatever and explain it to you. He's been doing this so long. He's explained it to me 3 years in a row, and I'm still hadn't got the guts to pull the trigger. but
oh my God, Scott.
But the thing about it is, he knows what he's talking about. He knows what he's doing, and you know, Larry's a great guy, and he's honest, and he's not going to pull the wool over your eyes, and he's going to shoot straight with you because he shot straight with me. And he told me I had too much junk. Well, I mean, I've got the DJ and all the photography stuff and all that. I had a lot of equipment, you know.
Yeah, so you really cover that, but Scott, I've never known you to be a person that would be afraid to pull a trigger in this. But okay, but I will
tell all my secrets.
Okay. But I will tell you that, you know, it's real important that you do insure your stuff, and it's important that you insure yourself and protect yourself when you go out there. There's a lot of people that I go through, and I talk to some Santas, and they say, "Well, I don't need insurance." I said, "Well, you don't need insurance until you need it." And that's where you come into where you have a problem.
Well, it goes back to the same thing, Larry. Is you don't need homeowners insurance until your house burns.
Yeah,
you know that's the same way you look at it. You don't need Santa insurance until you don't have what you started with.
Yeah,
you know. So everything we do is preventative. You know, you don't need the extended warranty until the computer goes out on your car either. But you should buy it up front because that computer today is $15,000. You know, that's a lot of money for just something to make your car go down the road. But anyhow, that's your point you're making to me too, I think.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
So, anyhow, I'm going to move on if that's all right, Bob.
Yeah, move along. And if anyone has any other questions that you want to address tonight, we can do that towards the end of the show. We have a Q&A session there. And for the sake of moving along, we're going to go ahead and move along at this point.
Okay, well, we know how much magic is meant to you and heard you bought a magic company. Can you tell us about that and how that came about, Larry?
Well, it was kind of funny because, I mean, when I got started in the insurance, when I got started being Santa, I went to my very first school, and I had all these people that I was talking to. I'd ask all these questions, and it was great because, you know, the schools are amazing because I learned just as much from the other Santas as I learned from attending the classes. And in fact, probably more, to be honest, because they're actually living it. And I love the voice of experience. Well, the biggest concern that people had was, you know, they didn't know, a lot of them wouldn't do home visits. And I said, well, why won't you do a home visit? And they said, well, because it's hard to fill up the time. They would have an hour and a half that they would go to a home, and they would tell stories. They would have their pictures taken, and all of a sudden look at their watch, or they'd find out what time it was, and they would have 35 minutes to kill, and they didn't know how to fill the time. And some Santas are really good at it. They can come up with stories, they can come up with things, but a lot of us aren't. I mean, we look like Santa, but we don't have that gift of gab where we can just continue and carry on with kids. So you get bored and they'd wander off. Well, then all of a sudden you've got this customer that paid you for an hour or hour and a half of time, and they, in a lot of cases, what they would do is they would feel like that you took advantage of them. They only want to pay you for the 45 minutes that you're there. They'd send you off, and that was a problem. So anyway, I was a magician when I was a kid, and I came up with a trick called "'Twas the Night Before Christmas," a magical presentation, which was a very old magic trick, and I just basically customized it to "'Twas the Night Before Christmas." And I called a couple of Santas. I said, "Would you buy one too?" And they said, "Yeah, we would get one of those if you decide to make them." Well, when I called the printers and all the people that I had to put together, the team of people, it was going to cost an arm and a leg to put together a few of them. So in order to make them economically, I had to make over 1,000 copies at one time, which is a big amount of money to put into something that you don't know if it's going to work or not. Well, I went to the first school, sold over 100 copies. I had 100 Santas there, sold 120 copies of this book. Went along, they asked me, well, what are you going to do next? I came up with Santa's Magic Snow, came up with other magic tricks that Santa could do. And all it wasn't making Santa a magician, but it was making Santa magical. So when you went, you weren't doing a magic show, just magic happened around you, which is really the way that you want to be as Santa. And so anyway, we started with that, grew to about 30, 35 products for Santa Claus. And my son, at 12 years old, comes to me and says, "Dad," he says, "I want to be in business." I said, "Really? What do you want to do?" He says, "I want to expand on your magic business." Well, I said, "Who do you want to sell to?" He says, "Magicians." I said, "Okay, great." Well, now we have over 3,000 products online for magicians. We have probably 100 products now for Santa Clauses that are magical items that they would use. And I found out about a company in Washington State that was called Chaz Pro, the 40-year-old magic company, and they were a manufacturer of magic. And so I called them, worked out a deal, bought the company, and started creating new magic, as well as taking his products and just carrying those forward, and started having the same manufacturers produce the products, same machine shops, everything's produced here in the States. And then we start coming up with other items, things like Santa report cards, a great leave with kids. I think, Scott, you've got those. Both of y'all probably have them. Which is really a great trick. And I went to the IBRBS convention and sold like 200 sets in like an hour. And it's just something where it's just a really cool magic trick that you can do with children, with adults. It doesn't really matter. It's inexpensive to do, but it's a great giveaway that people will leave on their refrigerator, and I will tell you that people just love it. But so we have all these different things we came up with. Well, all of a sudden I get a telephone call, and this is going back before we actually did that acquisition, from the International and National Printers Association about our book. And they said, well, we would like to give you some awards at the Fox Theater, which is a big theater here in Atlanta. Everybody in Georgia knows about it, but a lot of other people don't. It's a historical site. They said, we are having a convention in Atlanta, and we would like for you to come as Santa in August. I don't have a beard all year round, usually. I didn't at that time. And so I had to grow the beard for August and go out dressed as Santa Claus to the Fox Theater in Atlanta, Georgia, and received awards. Well, we won 8 awards. We won 5 state level and 3 international awards, which was really kind of cool.
Wow.
Best new children's book that was not considered a textbook. They said it couldn't be done. Magic, again. But it was just all, we got all these great awards, which I really appreciate. And we've been nominated again this year, apparently, for the same book, because we came up with a second version, which is a blank copy of that a lot of you guys have. In fact, Spangle sells them at his school. At his school, he sells them at the stores. I sell it also, along with a lot of other items. So that's kind of the magic, how it started. But we're always coming up with new ideas, trying to make it so that Santa can be much more magical in front of children, and where things just happen around you.
Great lead in. Let's get into some of your new magic tricks for Santas. Uh, chameleon crayons.
Oh yeah, that's that. Well, the magic. 'Twas the night before Christmas. One of the things that people would do is it just you have a blank book that all of a sudden words appear, then all of a sudden pictures appear, and crayons are a great way because it looks like a coloring book is what it looks like. And now what we've got is we came up with a trick which really was not, we didn't come up with it. Let me correct it. The Chaz Pro, which was the company that I acquired 40 years ago, had a trick called chameleon crayons, and you would take a standard pack of crayons and you would change them to either your favorite color, or if the elves packed them wrong and packed all the same color in a pack, they would change to all the colors instantaneously right in front of you. And you could go ahead and color all the pages of the book. And it was, so we had chameleon crayons that actually is, we just finished production on the boxes. We've got, those are being packaged right now, and they will be available at School of Santas. So that's going to be a new item that has never been offered at any of the magic stores. In fact, any place, one of the first places it's going to be offered is going to be at School of Santas. We also have a new Find Rudolph type of magic trick that is coming out, and it'll be available at School of Santas as well, and as well as several other schools. I go to a lot of different schools, and that one is going to be one where you have a bunch of cards in front of you, and you know always which card is actually Rudolph. So Santa always knows where his lead reindeer is at all times. Doesn't matter how they're laid out, you always know it, and there's no markings on the cards. It's fully examinable. It's amazing. This is an old magic trick again that Chaz Pro produced for years. We have just adopted or adapted it to Santa Claus. And then the last one, because I had a bell that was great, and a lot of you guys bought those. What was called, I always called it Santa's Little Helper. Is Amazing Helper. Well, the manufacturer quit doing it. I did not produce that product. Manufacturer's not manufactured any more of them. If you need one, I'm sorry. Call one of the guys, offer them an incredible amount of money for it. They might let go of it, but I would be shocked if they did. We just came out with a new one, which is a pocket watch that allows Santa to change time. Isn't that great? You can change time immediately. And it's beautiful, absolutely beautiful gold or silver pocket watch. And they're limited, exceptionally limited. They are called infinity watches, and you can actually see them on my website. We actually offer them. I think I only have about 13 in stock. That's it for right now. I have 3 or 4 gold and probably 9 silver ones, and they're beautiful. They look just like Santa would carry. You stick in your pocket, you hand it to someone, and you can ask them, just name any time of the day that you think it should be, because the problem is we go all around the world, and occasionally we run out of time. Just what happens. And you can go through and say, well, you know what? If I only had another half an hour, if it were only 6:23, and they can tell you the time, what would be the best time for Santa to continue on with his sleigh ride? They just don't name any time, and they can have the watch sitting right in front of them. They can be holding the watch in their hand, and all of a sudden it will be, when they open it up, it will be exactly the time that they want. They could write it down on a piece of paper, and it will always match the exact time that they stated. And it's a really cool magic trick. It's very simple, just like all my magic tricks for Santa Claus. You can do it with gloves on. You can do it with arthritis. And with almost no training. The learning curve is less than 10 minutes on it. Almost there, I would say everything that I sell to Santa Claus especially. The other guy, magicians, they do that for a living. Santa doesn't.
Oh, yeah. Exactly. So, Scott, looks like we already covered the Magic Reindeer cards. So
Yeah,
if you want to,
mention something to Larry. The bell that's not available anymore, does that happen to be the one on the rope that I own?
Yes.
By the way, it's for sale, but it's extremely expensive.
Yeah. I think that they're running about $800 now, so you could probably sell that thing if you.
The other thing I wanted to mention to our audience, because I've gotten several magical Santa things, A Christmas Carol, and by the way, I found the book.
Good.
I did, and I used it this season. The 'Twas the Night Before Christmas, the two book package that you offer, or you can buy them separately, either one. I will tell our audience that when you buy the book, he'll explain and show you how to do it. But I ended up buying the stuff and I've used it over and over, but he never would show me how to do it until I owned it. And I like his style in that, because it'll drive you nuts trying to figure it out until you own it. So, if you find something you like that he's done a trick, jump on it and buy it at School of Santa. It's worth every penny you spend, and you'll use it hundreds and hundreds of times over and over. And our audiences have a really tough time figuring it out.
Oh yeah,
it's really, really tricky. It's simple but tricky.
How'd you?
All right, so
I had one
go ahead.
question. How did you like the Grinch's nut and bolt? Is that not the greatest trick ever?
Yes.
It is a great carry around. You don't leave anything with anybody, which is the reason I like the report cards. But it is such a cool trick, because you have this bolt that will not stay screwed together. It just unscrews itself visibly right in front of them. And Scott, how long did you ever figure it out? I mean, you're very inclined.
The gift list is another good one, and I've used it some, but I use it more in private parties than I do anything.
Oh yeah. I'll use that all the time. It's amazing when I get out there with people. So anyway, sorry about that. I kind of interrupted.
We're doing great.
Yes, we do.
I wanted to bring this one into the mix while we're talking about magic tricks. This one really sounds like the children will get a kick out of this. Carrots and reindeer poop.
Yes. Oh yeah. Yeah. One of the things that we were coming up with, in fact, Bob and I were sitting there, and I had thought about this before, and I hadn't really come up. But it's going to be coming out. Well, hopefully, we'll have it there at School of Santa's, and it's the same thing where you have you'll have 3 or 4 cards, and they'll have carrots, they'll have apples, they'll have cookies, they'll have all these different things that you can have. But there's one card that has reindeer poop, and that's not the card you really want. But Santa can show you exactly which one's the reindeer poop, so you don't eat the wrong card, the wrong items, and have the wrong items under the tree. So reindeer poop is not something that you really want to have. But if you have a group full of 8-year-olds, I will tell you, it will be the most humorous thing that you've ever done with them.
Look forward to seeing that.
Yeah, that's going to be a great one. All right, guys, let's take a short breather right here, because it's that time in the Tuesday Night Live show to take our halftime break, which is going to be more than halftime. But anyway, for a special product announcement, so stay with us.
Hello. Hello. Hey! Will somebody get the kid a Happy Meal?
No, don't do that.
All right, stop the show. It's time for the Tuesday Night Live Showstopper Special. For this week's StufferSanta.com Showstopper Special, Spangles on the Road. So we're going to put it up on the screen. We'll be right back as soon as this plays. That's correct. They're one of the holly pins. They've been very popular in the past. Guys wear them on their suits. Mrs. Claus wear them. You can put them on your hat, on your fur. They're $15 each normally. If you buy two, you will receive a third one for free. So that's a $15 discount there. And you get free shipping. You must contact Spangle though. This will not be able to do this through the website. Contact Spangle and tell him that you would like to get in on that. And this is good until next Monday, March 13th. All right, we'll be right back.
Oh, hello there. Yes, of course, it's me, Santa Claus. Now, you may not believe this, but one of the questions I get asked the most is, well, not how do I do it all in one night? No, but where do I get all my things from? Yes, now, what am I talking about? Well, I'm talking about the finest things I have. My glorious gloves, all my knickknacks and trinkets and things. Yes, all the giveaways. Yes, for me to give to the children before the main event. Yes, if I see them in the streets, if they come and see me, I like to have something in my pocket I can treat them with. Yes, and there's one special place where I can find all these magical goods. And that is, of course, StuffForSanta.com. You should head there now and see what magical gifts you can find. Mrs. Claus, have you got my ice pad? Yes, log me on. I'm going to have a look. I shall see you there. StuffForSanta.com. Merry Christmas.
Well, we're back, and for trivia number 2, brought to you by StuffForSanta.com. Don't forget, have your fingers ready to research this one. The question is, reindeer are the only mammals that can see blank blank, which was discovered by researchers at University College London. Reindeer are the only mammals that can see blank blank, which was discovered by researchers at University College London. Get those fingers going. Let's get an answer for this one. But like I said, hey, Stuff for Santa is where the hat came from, and he carries that in the trailer. And Spangle's on the road a lot this time of year, and he posted on his Facebook page where he's going to be. So if he's coming through your neighborhood, don't forget to kind of hook up with him and let him know through his Facebook page, that you'd like to see him or get in the trailer and see what kind of goods, because he does travel around to do that, to service all our Santa community is with all the goods that he does retain. And if he doesn't have something you want, reach out to him. If he doesn't have it, he'll find it or tell you where to get it. So back to you, Bob.
Oh, thanks. Yeah. Okay, so let's get back to the show, Larry. Moving on to the second half of tonight's program, let's learn more about the magical experience that Larry has developed for Santas and their performance. Now, we kind of already went into this one here. That was the one that Scott was going to read next, which is the cool new magical pocket watch. So let's move on to the next thing. I'm just going to throw this out there, Larry. There's a great story behind this, and I want you to tell it. 12.99.
well, actually, this year we ended up winning Best in Gwinnett which is the third largest county I was telling you earlier, for 13 years in a row. And, I contacted them and I said, hey, listen, this 13 thing kind of is a little discouraging. I said, can we just skip the 14 and just go ahead and accept that one? They said, no, I couldn't do that. I said, well, then I'll tell you what, I'm going to skip a day. This last year, I'd only like to be best in Gwinnett 12.99 years in a row. and they said, well, I said, what do you mean? I said, well, that's the way I want to advertise it. I don't want to talk about 13 years. 13's, I'm not super superstitious, but you know what? 13's not a lucky number. And I got a call back from them. They said, yeah, sure, you can do that. So I actually advertised that we were voted best Gwinnett now 12.99 years in a row, and which is quite an accomplishment. We're the only insurance agency that has received that award. Well, the 12.99 ever, but the 13 years in a row. There's not been another insurance agency in the state that's won that many times. So I can't take credit for it. I mean, I really wish I could, but I have such a great team of people. I just can't say more about them. When people call, the phone's answered. I hate voicemail worse than anything. So does everybody else. I can't imagine. I don't know any of you guys, if you guys like voicemail. Voicemail is a necessary evil. You can't get somebody on the phone or you're calling at weird times. That's, when you get voicemail. But the problem is you call a lot of people and you leave a voicemail and they never, ever, ever call you back. Well, with us, you're getting a call back. There's every single time I have put the hammer down at our office. Somebody calls us, regardless if it's negative or positive, we're going to answer it and call them back and try and take care of whatever it is that they need as quickly as possible. I hate those. I hate the voicemail. Even on a weekend, if somebody calls and leaves a voicemail, I get an email. And if it's an issue that needs to be handled right then, like it's a claim or something like that, I call them right there on the spot. As soon as I see it, I immediately call them right back and say, how can I be of assistance? How can I help? And a lot of times it's nothing that we can do at the time because the companies are closed, but it's really just kind of walking somebody through. This is what's going to happen. Here's how this is going to take place, and making them comfortable that they're protected on that issue.
And that is why you've been very successful at what you do.
I can't believe I've been 4 years.
Real quick, Ray, Angela Mack just put up there the rooms in Garland for the Sat Bob's class. If you're staying at the host hotel, normally around $130 this year. They have been as high as $140 in the past, but our price this year, special for the folks staying there taking the Sat Bob's class, is $89 a night. All right, Scott, over to you.
I was going to add something to Larry's comment. A couple of things. 13 is some people's unlucky number. It's my lucky number. I married my wife on 11/13. My house number is 13,900. My dad was born on the 13th and died on the 13th. And the stones in my wife's ring are 13. 13 is our number. And if we go to buy something or look at something, and my son's birthday, if you add the numbers up at the time that he was born, it comes out to 13 too. It's just, it's been our thing.
Well, you do know that the Munsters live on 1313 Mockingbird Lane.
Well, that's my neighbor.
Really nice people. They were really nice people. They just look odd. But, so do we.
Yeah. Well, the other thing I was going to point out before I carry on, and I know we're running out of time, but the other thing is if I call somebody, and Bob probably does the same thing, if I call somebody looking for something and I get a voicemail, I go to the next person on the list and call them. I don't even bother leaving a message. If they can't answer their phone during business hours, they don't need my business. And I'm sorry, maybe that's a bad thing, but that's just how I feel. So my hat's off to you for your consistency and making sure your clients are taken care of.
Thank you.
Okay.
Well, Scott, when you called me, I jumped on the phone right away. You called me.
Yeah. And said, I'm getting ready to go live.
Here. But I didn't know what you needed. You never know. It could be something that would set precedent. Sorry, Bob. Could be more important than this.
Okay,
He may need, need to know where to get some socks.
Now, since you said that, I've got to do this. I just must. Larry sent me a message and said, I am backstage putting on makeup, getting a massage, and eating red jelly beans. All of my demands as a star has been met. Looking forward to the show. Told you guys he's a funny man.
well, anyhow, Larry, if you had a warning label, what would it read?
That would be pretty much it. It's like, you want to, if you have a serious problem, I'll give you a serious answer. Outside of that, yeah, I'm sorry.
Well, that what my and audience, come to School of Santa's between Bob, Larry, myself, and the other clown. You will be in stitches in some point more than once during the weekend. Am I correct, Bob? Larry?
Just look
Oh,
look at the subtitle that Scott has on his underneath his name there. Scott Bob Scott and Baby Spangle. You never know.
Well, I'm gonna tell you what, it is a fun bunch of guys to go hang out with. The people go through and they think about the schools and they say, oh gosh, I know how to be Santa. Yeah, you might know how to be Santa, but all of us can learn something new and can do what we're doing. And that's the reason we're all here. And but at the same time, we have, and Bob and I were talking about this the other day, we make friendships that are lifelong. And
yes,
and we sit and talk, and it's all, when we see each other, it's like it just starts back up again. And that's part of going to the school. It's not just learning things, but it's actually getting to have a big family reunion, basically, and seeing all of our friends that we don't get to see around. And I really miss them, because if they were closer physically, because these guys are a long ways off, we would be doing stuff all the time. So,
and as I told you the other day, sitting in the breakfast room, whatever you want to call it there at the hotel, eating cookies and ice cream after the class is over. It's my favorite part, man. I absolutely have a blast in there. So many people mingle and we get to cutting up, and it's just one great big hoot.
They had to
For
run
sure.
Bob, myself, and Rex Ray out of there every night, or we'd been there all night.
Yeah, for sure.
And at the school in the vendors area where you are, Larry, I mean, come in there. Larry will be happy to talk to you guys about anything you want to talk about, and probably some things you don't want to talk about.
Oh, most definitely.
But anyhow, no, it's great fun. And Larry, we appreciate you spreading the word about School of Santas. And guys, if anything else, it's 2 weeks. You got 2 different weeks to come. Larry, you're going to be there both weeks. So, I mean, it's going to be an awesome time. And Bob, you'll be there both weeks, as well as myself, and maybe Spangle if he shows up.
Well, and Spangle's trying to put a couple of things together for the days that we don't have class in between the 2 weeks. So if you're going to be there for both weeks, there'll be some fun stuff to do in between in our downtime. So that's something we can talk about at another date, though. Right now, I have a question for Larry that, God, I just must ask. Your cover photo on your Facebook, have you gone whitewater rafting lately?
That was the last time I went whitewater rafting. We had this wonderful trip to Costa Rica. My wife is one of these people that she has to be entertained, and usually with things that are very physically demanding to me. That happened to be one of them. And we went to Costa Rica. We were supposed to be rafting in class 2s and 3s. Because of all the rain, we were rafting in class 4s and 5s. And there's a photographer went with all of us as a collective and took all these pictures. It was incredible. We do all kinds of fun pictures with all that. We've done zip lining. We've done whitewater rafting. We've done rappelling down waterfalls. I've done pictures with that. I'm going to tell you what, a fat man going down a waterfall, it's a sight to see. Rappelling. But yeah, we do stuff like that all the time whenever we get a chance. We're actually going up to the lake. We're going to probably not do anything that's going to kill me or hurt me this time, but
Crazy.
but we'll still have a good time.
All right,
what-
back over to you, Scott.
Okay. Well, we want to invite all our viewers and everyone to have the opportunity to come meet Larry in person at the School of Santas in scenic Branson, Missouri, where fun and education meet. That's in Branson, Missouri in July. And I think that the dates, you go on, Tanya at Branson Travel has it, or School of Santas. You can go schoolofsantas.com and all the information's there. I think it's what is second and third week in July.
13th through 16th and 20. Gosh, I
It's
should
next
have that
week
in front of me.
too. So
Yeah, I don't have it in front of me, but it's the following weekend.
if you've never met Larry Talbert or had the opportunity to talk to him one-on-one and see his magic, School of Santas is the place to do that this year. So we all look forward to seeing, and of course, being there with you, Larry. I mean, it's always an interesting weekend.
Well, I'll tell you what, it's one of the most fun weekends I go do. I am so excited. We're going to be there for 2 weeks. I don't know what we're going to do in between, but we'll figure something out. And
You know we will.
Hey, we're going to have to hit the buffet up a couple of times.
oh, I spend my life. Okay.
Well,
All
here
right,
we
Larry,
go.
don't go nowhere. We've got some more stuff we got to take care of before we get out of here. So back over to Scott.
Here we go. It's time for the monthly segment titled Holiday Magic Photos. Spangle drives me crazy. Trivia, and for that, we're going to bring in Bob McMasters.
Yeah, we were supposed to have had Jessica Rosa tonight. She's not feeling well, so I'm gonna take this segment here and go ahead and throw it in here. This is the first Tuesday of the month. She will be doing this every first Tuesday of each month throughout the season, and it's just the third trivia question that we have. If you win this, you need to reach out to Jessica Rosa, and she has a multiple things that she is putting in as the trivia prize winner in her creative ways of doing things. Okay, lead in. We'll be right back. Hey, Larry, you think it looks just like her?
Yeah, exactly. Spitting them.
Okay, this is brought to you by Holiday Photo Magic. Here is the trivia question. Get your fingers ready. When and where were Christmas cards first sold? When and where were Christmas cards first sold? So we need the location and the year is what we're looking for there. And while you guys are working on that, we're going to kind of start to move along just a little bit here. All right, my brother Larry, let's see if our viewers have any questions or comments. I know I asked them earlier if they had any more questions about your magic or Branson or even your insurance stuff to throw them in here at the Q&A. This is the Q&A segment, so if you have any, throw them in for us. Looks like we got some answers coming in there. A couple of them that are close, but not quite. Erica Boisha says, congratulations on the awards, Larry. What did you wear as Santa in August to your event?
Well, actually, I wore a beautiful puffy sleeve shirt with bib overalls that were monogrammed with some absolutely gorgeous Christmas stars and oh, actually not. I'm sorry, Christmas snowflakes. So it was perfect for that. And I wore a hat, not like Scott's, but more of a what a
Boy hat
from Ireland would wear, the little bobby caps. So it worked out really good.
I like that name, Bobby Caps.
Oh my gosh. It's like having Spangle here.
Yes, it is.
I'm telling you. Got any other questions that you guys want to ask Larry while we got him? While we got his ear?
if you want to get into in-depth questions about insurance, please reach out to him directly. Larry, I give Larry a hard time, and Bob does too, but it's because we're friends, and Larry takes it with grace and knows that we're just teasing him. So, but Larry's more than happy and very professional, and we tried to get him out of his comfort zone by ribbing a little bit, but he's going to give you the most up to date because he researches and he's got a great team there in Atlanta, and he can service anybody in any state in the country. Am I correct, Larry?
Well, it's actually, we can operate in 44 states. So we don't operate in every state, but if there's a state that I don't operate in, either because it's too expensive to become licensed in that state based upon people, a lot of times it's just licensing fees or difficulty in getting licensed in those states. I have people that I can refer them to that offer the same type of program in those other states, so they can get the same program. And by the way, Scott, I just want to let you know that after this event, I'm going back downstairs. I'm going to curl up in the corner and sob quietly after talking to you guys.
Thank you for giving us a heads up, so we'll know to call and text you in your moment of sobbing.
Quietly, though, by myself.
No, we
love you, brother, and we appreciate you, and you're always a wealth of information. We've had many phone conversations, and some serious, and some of them just so deep we need boots.
Absolutely. So real quick, Everett Prostrollo says Larry will also show you the methods on how the magic trick is performed, even if you bought the magic trick from him a year ago. Great comment.
If you ever need anything, I'm happy to help.
Well, Larry, we appreciate it, and it's been wonderful having you here and talking about everything under the sun. Is there anything that maybe you want to share with our viewers that we may have left out, or any final thoughts to pass on?
Well, basically, you can, if you decide you want to buy the insurance or you decide you want to look at magic, you can go to www.santamagic.pro, not .com, .pro, santamagic.pro. Or if you are so inclined, you want to call me, I have an office number of 1-800-353-8355, and my cell phone is 404-538-7978. It's an hour for me to get to work every morning and every evening. I love talking to Santas. You want to call me? I'm happy to talk to you on either one of the lines. If I don't answer, I promise you I will call you right back.
Give me that website one more time.
www.santamagic.pro, and at the top it says Professional Christmas Entertainers. We actually promote it on our Magic website as well. You can also go and look at any information you want to about us at www.talbertservices.com. That's talbertservices.com. You can see our awards. You can see reviews that have posted. A lot of you guys out there have posted some nice reviews about us. Thank you so much. Your checks are in the mail. I appreciate everything you guys say. Thank you.
I noticed there was a lot of positive comments out in the comments tonight, Larry. So I guess those checks went out this morning, didn't they?
Out this morning. I called all those people.
Well, I guess if you have nothing else that you would like to share, I guess it's time to reveal those trivia answers, Bob.
All right, here we go, guys. Now, schoolofsantas.com, that is for the drawing. Your name goes into the hat. For the drawing to a chance for the next drawing for the School of Santas for Branson. This coming up July. After July is over with, we will start a new one that will run into next year. So it'll be something that we do all year long, all season long. So how many designer and name brand stores does Tanger Outlet Branson have, and what is the physical address of the mall? Over 75 is what they list. If you go in there and count the actual physical stores, it's 77. So I'll take 75 or 77. The address we were looking for is 300 Tanger Boulevard, Branson. The 65616 is not important. But the reason I brought this particular question up is this mall is directly behind the hotel and convention center, conference center. So if you got a few minutes, you can go down there with 75 plus stores, spend some extra bucks if if you've got them. If not, to shop and people watch. Man, people are fun to watch. And the winner on that is Ben Bellhorn. Good job, Ben. So your name goes in the hat again for the drawing.
And if you're coming to School of Santas, you're going to be there 2 weeks. Gives you something to do between the schools. Shop
Yes,
at Tanger.
absolutely. All right, so the stuffforsanta.com, reindeer are the only mammals that see blank blank, which was discovered by researchers at University College London. This is kind of fascinating. Reindeers are the only mammals that can see ultraviolet light. And our winner is?
I'll just tell it to you. It was Judith P. Broderick.
Judy gets it. Fantastic, Judy. Great job. I'll send that over to Spangle, and he'll send you out a goodie. I assume, and I'm pretty sure it's probably the holly pin. That's normally how he does that. And for our third trivia question tonight, holiday photo magic. Where, when, and where were Christmas cards first sold? The particular answer we were looking for there was London in 1843. And Santa Kevin wins that one. Hey, Kevin, you're hot, man. You're getting in there and getting some goodies. All right, so Kevin, reach out to Jessica on that, and she'll go over what she has to offer, and you can choose from whatever suits you. All right, back over to you, Scott.
Larry, just one last question.
Sure.
How could you possibly top 2022, but what are your goals for 2023?
Oh my gosh, I just I don't know how I could top 2022, but I will tell you, I probably will see a lot more kids. That's really this year. I'd like to have more events that I attend. I've been already told. In fact, they've already been booking me for the year. That I've got quite a few more that I'll have this year that I didn't have last year. We've got probably, I would say, 5 to 6 additional new magic items for Santas, and 10 to 12 for that are going to be in production for magicians. I just, it's hard to top each year. Each year I've had so much fun, and I really, it's hard for me to say one year is better than another. It really is.
Well, awesome.
Yeah. But
and we wish you the best of luck in 2023, and really thank you for being here. So as we conclude our show tonight, join us next week for our next Tuesday night live episode, and be sure to tune in to next Monday night's Bob Randall and Company show to see what we got cooking.
Correct. And Scott, you got any final closing thoughts you want to throw in here?
I don't know how to top anything other than thank you, Spangle, for not being here, because I love coming on the show. And Larry, as always, it's great to see you. I didn't expect you. You didn't expect me either, but I didn't expect to see the fur. I mean, I'm used to seeing you clean shaven, but it's great to see you as always. Stay healthy. Best of luck in 2023. And we'll see you in Branson.
Sounds great. See you guys there.
Larry, thank you so much, my friend, for joining us, being our featured guest tonight. What a great show. Absolutely have been blessed with great guests each week, and you're right there on top with the rest of them. A big thank you to schoolofsantas.com, stuffforsanta.com, and Holiday Photo Magic. Don't forget, all our shows are recorded and can be found on our Facebook groups, the YouTube channel at the Tuesday Night Live Show. And while you're there, be sure and look for all of the Bob Randall and Company Live preview shows. We got our own channel. We got our cover photos up on there. They're easy to find, and just go over and search us out. All right, Scott, tell everyone good night, Scott.
Good night, Scott.
Very good. Remember to join us for our next Tuesday Night Live each week, 7 p.m. Central, same clause time, same clause channel. Count your blessings, not your sorrows. Have a blessed week. Until next time, on behalf of Larry, we'll throw Spangle in there. Jessica, she was supposed to be here. Angela and myself, I'm Santa Bob McMaster saying good night. Remember, always let your Santa and Mrs. Claus heart shine bright. Never stop learning. Hope to see you on Monday and right back here on Tuesday. Good night. Thanks, Larry. Thanks, Scott.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks,
Good to
Angela.
see you, Larry.